So I wanted to, I just wanted to make a rant video because I have to get this out of my head. Yeah, I have to get this off my chest. But I've just, I've just come to the realization that I have a better understanding of why this whole place is just going to be destroyed. And when we talk about all this economic collapse and civilization collapsing, it's been collapsing. Just look around you. It has been collapsing. It's been a slow burn since the beginning of all this stuff to begin, since it started. You know, it, this whole thing about when we talk about society collapsing and all this stuff, I'm beginning to have a better understanding of why this whole place, sometimes I think, what, it might just be for the better that all this, everything here just becomes leveled. Just level it all. Because when you start to see, one of the reasons why I'm kind of weaning off of the talking about MGTOW issues. I'm not saying I'm quitting MGTOW. I still believe that, especially in this point in time, because of the fact that we've realized that all of this, garbage that they have told us about, women and how what they've told us about, dating, and what they've told us about marriage and divorce and having children. All this stuff, it's all lies. Everything is just a lie upon a lie upon a lie of deceit and perversion. And I have had it. That's why I have nothing to say to people anymore. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say to anybody in the general public. I don't make small talk. I don't want to talk about how your day is. Forget it. I've had it. It's pointless for me to waste my breath talking about anything to anybody in the general public that isn't in the know about anything. Because it's pointless. Because people, people they dress like crap, and here's something I can't stand. I can't stand those freaking moron idiots that wear those 50-cent hats, and I'm not talking about the rapper. Those hats with the flat bills with a big giant that big giant freaking thing in the front that shows a logo. Most ridiculous hat I've ever seen, ever made, ever. Aside from the whole skinny jean, freaking trendy bullcrap that was in for a while, and it still is in a degree. It's just, you look like a clown. You should take that hat and burn it with gasoline. You should, people just dress like thugs, and they have their pants down, down to their ass, and people, they speak like babies. They don't know how to communicate. And I just stay at home now. I just stay at home, and I just don't even bother communicating with anybody. Because people text and drive, they talk and drive, and it's people just have no consideration for anybody at all, other than what they're doing at the time. And people have no communication or social skills, at all. You go into a store, people, are rude. The cashiers don't do their job. They do a half-ass job because we live in a country that's just half-ass everything, and everybody's lazy and fat and sick, and just paying attention to the most useless, pumped-out, mind-control, brainwashing garbage in the mainstream news and on the movies and on the TV. It's just disgusting. And I get nauseous when I have to watch this stuff. When I actually have to watch this stuff and see it in the general public, this is what makes me want to just, this is why I'm a reclusive person, because I see the true things that really matter. They got the government raping kids and murdering children and participating in blood sacrifice fucking rituals and lying to everybody and raping these children. And here we are sitting, dressing like a bunch of clowns, watching frickin' Sports Center and all this other garbage. And we wonder why this whole frickin' place is crumbling before our feet. It's not going to be the government that comes in and starts a collapse. It isn't going to be any of that. It's going to be the fact that people have decided to go along with this whole lackadaisical, I don't care, fuck it attitude. And look, I'm ranting, and I'm not saying that I'm not an individual that saying that, I do care. I'm saying that when you have a bunch of people that act the way that they act and not really care about the true issues, then you wonder why the country is crumbling before its very feet. You know, I mean, the Pizzagate thing, for God's sake. I mean, these kids were raped and murdered in sacrificial fucking rituals. Blood rituals. And I'm not just talking about little small kids. I'm talking about infants and babies. Babies and infants being raped and murdered in sacrificial satanic rituals. And we got people looking like a bunch of clowns, walking around like a bunch of zombies and talking like babies. For God's sake, I mean, give me a break. This is why I don't watch the news, because it's all bullcrap anyway. But, you know, look, once you start to realize the true important things that are really going on right now, and you're informed about those things like the Pizzagate. You know, I was just talking to a friend of mine today, met up with him and had lunch, and he was telling me about how his father he started looking into the whole Pizzagate thing, and he was completely distraught. Completely distraught. You know, he was distressed, and he just couldn't believe what was going on. And it's, you know what, and the reason for that is because once you realize the real issues that are going on in this world, all of the nonsensical, matrix, garbage, brainwashing entertainment goes right out the window and gets thrown into a 1,000-foot canyon and has ceased to exist. Once you really realize how the things that really should matter, that nobody cares about, that nobody gives a shit about. And we got a bunch of people walking around like a bunch of thugs, wearing clown hats and talking like babies. I mean, you know, this is why I just refrain from. I have nothing to say to people anymore. I just don't have anything to say to people. You know, what am I going to tell? I am so detached and removed from what, you know, from the general masses. It's ridiculous. It's hilarious. You know, because what am I going to say to somebody? I'm going to talk about the ball game with some person, or talk about what happened today. What am I going to say? I am, you know, I have come to the point where I have realized what really matters and the real issues that are happening. You know, the things that are so serious that people just have no clue on earth how much evil is really taking place here. And you know what? You can argue whether or not the fact that, you know, necessarily the place that we're in. You know, I argue to say that, you know, we live in a certain level of hell. I wouldn't be surprised, and I believe it. I believe that. I believe we're living in a level of hell. I think there's 7 circles of hell. I think we're living in one of those 7 circles, because you just look at people today. You know, all these satanic rituals, and you know what's funny is that, you know, like that whole thing about those moron idiots who wear their pants behind, you know, down to their ass. You know where that whole thing came from, right? That was a big joke that MTV started, I think. But it actually is a thing in prison where guys that are actually into having gay sex, they pull their pants down like that because it shows them they're fucking take it in the fucking ass. That's all. That's the whole joke. And then you see all these morons walking around with their pants behind their ass. I mean, what a joke. What a freaking joke. I've gotten comments from a few of my subscribers that say that, you know, whenever I talk about these issues, you know, they agree with me, because they also realize, you know, that there are some people out there that realize that all this crap is exactly that. It's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of useless dribble, you know, and they're just feeding us bullshit. I like that saying. It goes, you know what they're doing is that we're a bunch of mushrooms, and all they do is they keep us in the dark and feed us bullshit. That's exactly what it is. That's all they do. We're a bunch of mushrooms, and they keep us in the dark, and they feed us bullshit. Well, I'm no longer being kept in the dark about these issues. This is why I gotta come on my channel sometimes, and I gotta rant. You know, because I have just seen the worst of humanity. You know, over the last couple of years, I have just seen the absolute worst. I mean, atrocities you couldn't possibly imagine of the worst of humanity and the people behind this stuff. It's sickening. Sickening. It makes me want to throw up. And you know what? YouTube, let me tell you something about YouTube. YouTube is the freaking funny farm of the internet. YouTube is the funny farm of the internet, and it's an insanity ward. You know, you got people on YouTube that make videos of them vomiting all over themselves. All I see, all these people, you got people, throwing up and vomiting all over themselves, vomiting up in videos, eating crap and throwing it up. And that's all these people want to see, is a bunch of people vomiting and throwing up on themselves. I mean, that's all. This is YouTube, and they do it for views and they do it for likes because people like watching people fucking throw up and vomit, for God's sake. And we wonder why this country, forget the country, this whole world is crumbling before our very feet. Maybe it should. Maybe we deserve it. I would argue to say that we do, because this is ridiculous. YouTube is just an insanity ward of a bunch of garbage. And you know what? All it is, look, whether you want to admit it or not, it all stems from subscribers and likes and YouTube views and all this generated narcissism. It's just all it is. All these sites, they generate narcissism out of people because you get all this attention, and then you think you're some kind of hot shit, when all you do is you throw up on camera, you frickin' bunch of jack-offs. God, like I said, I needed to make a rant on this, because I just can't take these frickin' people. I haven't been watching a lot of YouTube videos. I've taken the last 3 days, and I've just taken a break from YouTube. And let me tell you something. When I came back today and I started looking at some of the stuff, I looked at myself and I said, what the hell am I even doing here? What am I even doing watching any of this? It's just a bunch of garbage. It's a bunch of dribble. All people do is they make videos of themselves. Nobody has anything to say. Nobody, there's some people out there that really do have things to say, but they're in the minority. You don't see a whole bunch of people talking about the Pizzagate issue, them raping children. Meanwhile, we got a bunch of idiots dressing like clowns wearing clown hats that cost $60 and morons that actually frickin' are willing to pay that much for a stupid hat. God, my God, I swear to God, I want to fucking, ever see one of those, I have this envision in my head. Every time I see one of those fuckers with those fucking stupid hats on, I want to fucking beat the shit out of them. Just the stupidity and the idiocy of these morons. God, it's just, man. And so this is why I'm a recluse now, and I just have nothing to say to people, because, like I said, I have realized that there are so much more important things going on in this frickin' world. And seeing those poor kids, put under frickin', God, just blood sacrifices. And look, I've done enough research into these elites and learning about why they do all this occultic blood sacrifice stuff. It's the most horrific thing you could imagine in your mind about what these people do. These poor children, this whole Pizzagate shit, they're into the most perverted, sexual, depraved things. Scat porn and urination fetishes, the most perverted and disgusting things. And they do it to these kids. Meanwhile, we're concerned about who won the game on the Cavaliers or the fucking football game or the basketball game. And you wonder why this fucking place is going up in flames. Like I said, we deserve it. We fucking deserve it. We deserve it. We deserve it, because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I've had it. I've had it. I've come to the realization of this. And meanwhile it's just, God Almighty. Sometimes, guys, sometimes I just gotta let it out, because like I said, I see the worst of humanity, and it builds up inside of me. And after a while, I can't hold it in anymore, because every day I see these morons, and I go back home. I go back home and I do my research into this stuff, and I'm like, what do I even have to say to anybody anymore? I have nothing to say to you. I'm learning about how the government is raping children and practicing the most perverted, sexual, depraved acts on infants and babies. And then not only that, they're sacrificing them to fucking freaking just demons. And you want to talk to me about how my day is? I'm not interested. Leave me alone. I have nothing to say to you. Nothing. It frustrates me, guys. It just frustrates me when I have to sit here and I got to put up with this garbage. And I'm gonna say something else. I mentioned in my video a while back about celibacy and how porn is an alternative for men to, the reason why you shouldn't have sex because women have the power of sex, and that is true. But what I'm going to change my mind and say is that, you know what, I made a bad call to say that porn is an alternative. We all got to get our rocks off sometimes. You know what? Sometimes you got to put something on and you do your business and you have it on and that's it. I get that. But the reason why we're such in this state of this perversion, all this perverted garbage, is the reason why this country is ending up the way it is. It's why the women are the way that they are, because women dress around in skimpy clothing and perverted clothing, and they walk around like a bunch of whoosies, and then they turn around and act like they're all special and all that. When these guys are sitting there pussy pandering to all these women because they got their fucking tits out, and we wonder why this whole thing is such a big mess. Go figure that one out yourself. I don't think that requires any kind of explanation as what do you need to do about that. It's pretty straightforward and simple. So that's just what it is. So you wonder why things are going to hell. It's just a joke. It's all a joke, and we're sitting here, we're all participating in it, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. I can't stand hearing certain people talk about how, I love Aaron Clary because he does such a good job when it comes down to explaining how much garbage people have been fed in this educational bubble, because it's such a disaster, the educational bubble. All these people getting complete useless degrees and just not being told the truth and getting some blunt force reality check reality of how you do well in this life. But one thing I'm going to disagree with this guy about is this whole thing about finding a new Walt and a traditionalist woman. You're not going to have a traditionalist lifestyle with any woman or any kind of family, because the family was destroyed a long time ago. The whole notion of the family unit is gone. It ain't coming back. And it ain't going to work when you got a bunch of cell phones and smartphones with all these apps on it, with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, where all these chicks go and post provocative pictures of themselves, and then you walk into society and you got a bunch of morons dressing like clowns walking around, and all this useless garbage on the TV. It's not designed to work. It is not going to work because the environment is sick. If you raise a kid in the ghetto, he ain't going to grow up to become a model citizen. You ain't going to have a woman in your life in a traditionalist marriage when you got all these perversions going on in society and otherwise. And let me tell you something. I think all of us here that have had enough experience with women realize that they're not really the kind of model citizens that can simply discipline themselves enough to reject those things. I think we all can see that pretty obvious, can't we? I think we can all see that. So this whole notion of the family and all this traditionalist stuff, it's not going to work because the environment is bullshit. It's sick. We have workforce, and here's the other thing. It's like when you go and you have a kid or something and you go and you take them into school, and you wonder why the kid he learns how to use bad language and learns all these perversions because the environment is sick, and a whole bunch of other parents who don't raise their kids properly or teach them how to act and learn, the right way and the wrong way of things. Same thing applies with women. Women are going to go into the workforce and they're going to go and hang around all the other girls in the workforce, and they're going to be picking up on all the garbage of all what all these other women talk about and other nonsensical, useless, brainwashed minds. What kind of woman do you think you're going to have? What kind of woman do you think that is going to turn a woman into? For God's sake, I mean, this whole traditionalist stuff, it's over with. It's over with, and I think part of the reason why people still kind of get caught up in that whole notion of the traditionalist family. Look, the traditionalist family is the ideal situation for people and human beings. That is how it was supposed to be, so to speak. That is the ideal of how to raise a family, is one man, one woman, you have children, and there's no perversions in the relationship. There's none of this LGBTQ open bullshit relationship garbage. All these perversions that we see now. That is the traditionalist way that is optimal for raising a healthy family. But that's not the case anymore because times have changed. We live in a perverted, inverted reality, and people are sick and stupid. They dress like clowns, they walk like zombies, and they pay attention to garbage. Meanwhile, they're raping children in blood sacrificial rituals, and we're sitting there watching I don't watch it. I don't watch any TV or pay attention to any of this garbage. But you have 90% of the masses screaming and fantasizing about somebody moving from 3 yards down the line to another 3 yards down the line. Oh my God. I mean, my God, what a disaster. What a mess we live in, guys. What a mess we live in. We live in a mess, guys. We are in big trouble. I don't care who's the fucking president. It's all bullshit. Until you get the gay agenda banned and eliminated, until you get all these gays out of here, and you ban and make that illegal, and you make all these perversions illegal, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. All these people work together, but people don't want to believe that because they want to believe in lies because it's like not a suppository, that's something for the ass, but fuck it. It might as well be. They might as well, because everybody's taking it in the fucking ass now. So who gives a shit, right? It's a sedative. It's a palliative. It's a palliative. It's what they give sick and dying people to help them become comfortable. That's what people are. That's what people are right now. They're on palliatives, and all it is just a matter of keeping them comfortable before the whole thing just goes up in flames, and that's it. That's the end of it. Which I'll tell you something, guys. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's no way that all of this garbage and all these perversions that we see running around today is going to be sustainable very much longer. It's just not. It's not, guys. It's over. It's done. There's no point in trying to try to fix everything. The damage has been done. The family ain't coming back. The world is destroyed. There ain't no fixing this mess. I'm telling you that right now. Because there are forces at work here that you can't just fix with passing a fucking law or simply changing your opinion or mind about something. There are forces at work here that you can't just simply walk into a frickin' executive court and just say that you're going to stop everything bad. It doesn't work that way. And we've been kept such in the dark about all this stuff. And one final thing I want to say, and I'm going to wrap this video up, but one of the reasons why I'm not talking about MGTOW stuff right now, or probably will be from this point forward, I'm not saying that I'm quitting MGTOW. I'm still MGTOW. I still believe in the premise of it. And I'm not saying I'm a simp or anything like that, but what I'm about to say, then it has nothing to do with women, but like I said, YouTube is just is the insanity war of the internet. And so much of this, like I mentioned, the bandwagon effect, all I see a lot of it is just now about views and viewership and likes and favors and all this kind of bull crap. And it means nothing. I'm not going to get caught up in the whole debate between, whether or not women are the way that they are because they're into resource gathering or because of the fact that it's feminism. All of these things are nothing more than tools that have been used. It's not the reason, it's just the thing that has been used. Like I said, once you realize, let me tell you something. When I did that, looking into that whole Pizzagate shit, it's just disturbing, man. I'm not a person that gets disturbed easily. I've seen a lot of disturbing things in my life. But, that is disturbing. And what's more disturbing about it is the fact about how important or how unimportant all of this matrix brainwashing garbage in the mainstream news media is, and they're raping children and all this garbage and performing satanic blood sacrifices with these children's bodies. And I'm not going to get into the details because it's not necessary, but it's awful what they do to these children. It's worse than I'm saying, and it's worse than you could imagine. And here I am on YouTube talking about some kind of bullshit about terminology and using the right terms and whether or not I'm being intellectually, politically correct in regards to the MGTOW label. Fuck off. I'm learning about how the world is fucked up and how they're raping children. I think that's a lot more important than whether or not I'm using the right adjectives and pronouns in regards to being a part of the MGTOW thing. Give me a break. This is ridiculous. This is why the world's going to hell. I'm not dissing MGTOW, but I'm dissing the whole notion of what it has turned into. It's not at all it has turned into something else. And not for the better either, because it's all become about views and likes and about impressing and using the right pronouns, and all this other garbage. And it's ridiculous. This is why I've been making a couple videos introducing, this occultic knowledge to people, because it's so much more important than all this garbage. It's just so much more important than that. And I've realized look, guys, on a final note, we have a very limited amount of time here. And like I said, this whole thing it's over with. It's done. Family ain't coming back. People are fucking stupid and nobody cares. And this whole thing is going to be over with because we have decided to go along with this agenda. Whether or not we can redeem ourselves, I think that's too late for that. Forget it. Too late for that now. The damage has been done. The world is crumbling, and we need to realize that. We need to realize what's going on and why we have been put. No, we've been put in this position. Why we have put ourselves in this position to start with. And we need to realize why things are going to go the way that they're going to go, and why we're going to see chaos and destruction for as long as it happens until things just crash. And we need to realize what brought us here. And that's just what I'm going to be, trying to convey to people is what got us in this mess to begin with. And the best advice I could give you guys is just, like I said, I don't even think I need to explain myself. If you're a smart guy, you have common sense, to avoid the mainstream news, to avoid all of this useless YouTube channel gibberish. About people, all I hear about is how people comment on other people's channels because they didn't like what somebody had to say. Are you actually ever listening to what the person really is saying instead of just interjecting your own thoughts into your head about what you think somebody's opinion is to get likes or views or just because you want to start some shit? Give me a break. Fuck off. It's ridiculous. It's palliatives. We're just trying to keep people entertained and comfortable and dumbed down, and a bunch of mushrooms in the dark getting fed bullshit. because when everything goes to hell in a handbag, which, like I said, is pretty expected by this point, and it will happen. It will happen. This world cannot sustain itself with a bunch of mamby-pamby fruitcakes running around eating jelly donuts, dressing like a bunch of clowns wearing clown hats, and being disgraceful and atrocity of human beings.